I'm excited to moderate this panel on Gen Z as a geriatric millennial. I'm about to turn 40 this year, and I deal with Gen Z all the time, my day-to-day with athletes. And I'm a huge fan of Gen Z. I think they are doing things and knocking stuff out the park that previous generations have struggled with, and excited to hear their thoughts. So let's start with Vienna and have everyone introduce themselves, and we'll get going.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm Vienna Langdon. I'm the daughter of the founder and CEO of Here Round Table.
Hi, I'm Avalon Sueiro. I am currently a university student at Carnegie Mellon University, and I grew up outside the U.S.
Hello, everyone. I'm Zoe. I'm also a university student at Tufts University studying psychology, and I'm the founder of the Hip Hero Club, which I will talk about a bit later today.
Hi, it's me again. My name is Jahin. I'm from Sydney, Australia, and I'm just glad to be on the panel with my friends.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with Vienna. How has growing up in the digital age shaped the values, the behaviors, and expectations of Gen Z individuals?
Well, I think it's made Gen Zs more involved, but also more not involved, because we'd be able to see things that are going on around the world through the internet, but also not in conversations because we're on the internet and that sort of stuff. So I think it's done a bit of both in shaping how we are. And it just gives a way of everybody else looking at us, that we're glued to our devices and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think it's had its goods and bads. Yeah.
Let's work our way down the panel, I think. That'd be good. Avalon?
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. I think that we see a lot of possibility on the internet, specifically, of things that we can do in our own lives and things that other people are doing in their lives. And it really opens our eyes to being like, this other teenager is doing this entire amazing project and helping so many people, so why can't I as well? And we have the internet out there with so many resources to be able to achieve these goals as well. But the problem is, often we will see these other kids doing these amazing things, and it's like, why aren't I doing those things? And then it turns into a negative response to that rather than a positive, I can do this as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Absolutely. And piggybacking off of that, I think that also one thing about growing up in the digital age in general is that Gen Z is really used to adapting and being creative. I think I was 4 years old when the first iPhone came out, so it's really been around all the time. And if you think about the first iPhone, it was revolutionary, but it was clunky, it was big, and now we have these like smooth iPhones or whatever, but everything is like always innovating or adapting, and I think that we have learned to adapt with it. So with that, I think we've learned to be creative and really like tackle problems like that.
Look, I think I'm one of those very annoying optimists. I think technology is amazing. It's one of the best things that's ever happened to humanity. And obviously there are ways that people have used it for wrong, but I think that's just human nature. There'll always be things that come in terms of advancements where we use it well, or in human nature we don't use it well. But I think technology is incredible. It's allowed us to be more connected. It's allowed us to bring more accessibility into regions, to people, to cultures that may have never even thought of that before. So I think it's incredible, to say the least.
So I'm going to start with Avalon here. Gen Z is often described as the most diverse generation in history. How does this diversity sort of influence their worldview and interactions with others?
Well, I think this is diversity across like a spectrum of many different types of diversities. So we, in essence, learn to work with a bunch of different people, no matter their viewpoints, no matter how they approach a problem, no matter what they like, dislike, that sort of thing. So we've learned to build teams and have collaborations with others who are different from ourselves. And I think this is something that is visible through all of our endeavors and all of our projects that we work on, because we know that bringing people together who are different means that we will cover a vast spectrum of needs in whatever we are working towards. So we are better ready to approach a problem with different people, because we will all see different things that are going to be needed, and we will all have different viewpoints and different ways to approach something, so we can better assess and address the problem.
It seems like, at least observationally from dealing with different generations over the last 20 years of coaching, that Gen Z is much more open to general discussion around anything. Seems very few off limits. Has that, guys, been your experience, or let's go with Zoe on that one?
Yeah, I would say that Gen Z is very open. I think because we have grown up on social media, we really have been able to learn about so many different perspectives. I think even when you scroll on TikTok, you see videos from people seriously from all over the world. And tagging on to what Avalon was saying, I think in one sense, this is great because we do see so many different perspectives and we have, different viewpoints on the same issue. But I think what's been incredible about that as well is seeing how in really core ways we are similar also, because we do have like those same core values. So I think, that's been the amazing part of social media.
Awesome. Jahin or Vienna, do you want to add anything to that?
I really think that it's interesting to see how Gen Zs and other Gen Zs interact with each other, because we can be, older or younger and still be able to talk about the same things and be able to inform each other on different things, just as one group of people who have been put in together as different ages and as different people.
Yeah, Hello. I think we're just a very opinionated bunch. We just love talking about almost everything, and I think we do it with we do it with lack of fear. We don't feel shame in talking about things that are sensitive. We don't feel like anything's off limits. We have very open and honest conversations. Sometimes, obviously, it veers towards things, in different cases, different generations may not agree with. But I think fundamentally, it's just honesty. There's just a lot of conversations, which, again, for example, my mum, she's always just like, why do you guys even talk about this? In our generation, we'd never be even be able to mention that on a dinner table or with our friends. And I'm just like, it's because it's affecting people. We want to talk about it. And inadvertently, we want to bring change and help those people, for example. So, I think we just have a lot of opinions, but we say it in a very open and free way. So I think that's been almost like an advantage for a lot of people, especially young people.
Yeah, the affecting change piece I think is important. I think Jeremiah mentioned this in his talk about generationally, the percentage of people wanting to try and do sort of good beyond themselves, which can be, some people can hear that and be like, oh, well, but I like to do good things. But I think it's definitely interesting to see that seems to be a complete staple of Gen Zers, that they are really going after well, what can we do to improve not just my lot, but everyone's sort of capacity, which I think is fantastic. So let's go with, so Gen Z is known for its strong emphasis on social justice and activism. Can you guys share any examples of Gen Z-led movements or initiatives that have made a significant impact? And Jahin, do you want to start with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm incredibly biased, so I'm going to talk about Australia because I love Australia. I think when it comes to Gen Z movements, for example, the whole climate movement of advocating for climate and the environment. If you look at the news, if you look at social media, every single front cover is a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, wearing school uniform, and I think that's a testament to just their valor, the amount of energy that they have, that they just want to go out there, in a way, ditch school to go do that, but care so deeply about it that they'll invest their time, go to climate movements, talk about the environment, and really protect the planet. So I think that is the first thing that comes to mind in terms of young people making change, but also just being bold and making those sacrifices to say, I care about this so much that I'm going to be here irrespective of what anyone says. So I think in a way that's quite beautiful. In another way, a lot of people might not disagree, might not agree, but it's just how it is.
Yeah, awesome. Zoe, do you want to go?
Yeah, absolutely. I think echoing that, earlier today we were talking about Greta Thunberg, and I think she's someone who immediately comes to mind for the climate activist movement. But I think on a much smaller scale, I think we've all experienced that with the resources that the internet and social media gives us, really anybody can start a movement, whether it's within their school, their community, or more globally. Like this one girl that I know, her name's Kanak Lashkari. She's from India, and she created a project called Project Diversify when she realized that she, during COVID, wanted to have a cultural exchange program, but it wasn't possible because of COVID restrictions, obviously. So she created this and fostered conversations with more than 10 countries from around the world. So I think, it's just I think Gen Z has been really incredible about adapting, like I've said before, and really taking control over those resources or opportunities that they have. So I think we can look at really big examples of youth taking advocacy or taking action, but there are also so many like small examples within our own communities that we can look to as well, which I think has been so incredible about Gen Z.
Yeah, I really like the individual person being able to make a huge difference. What immediately comes to mind for me is voter turnout for young people in the last election. I believe it increased from 39% to 50%. So that's something that you as an individual can do, but working together collectively, it makes such a big difference. But it is something that just one person has to do. But without all of us working together, there isn't much of a big change. So I say that one is one of the ones that come to mind first.
I was involved in a Ukraine project, which was just a bunch of kids from ages 12, I think, to 18, just figuring out how we could help. So there were people from Poland and the US, and obviously I was in Australia. And by the end, it was started by adults, but by the end it was all of these kids, these Gen Zs, just figuring out how they could help. So if that was sending care packages or just talking to people, giving them something to do, them leading on how to help was really interesting to see.
Yeah, it feels like the Gen Z are they're not gonna be bystanders to projects. I think it's really that sort of leadership and desire to affect change has been very, very, very clear, at least from someone in an older generation. And then finally, as leaders and influencers of the future, what advice would you guys give to older generations in terms of understanding, working with, and supporting Gen Z? Let's start with Vienna.
I think mostly just don't judge the book by its cover, because I think especially in my town it was a big thing they'll mess that up, the Gen Zs will go and tear that apart. We had a really nice photo collage on some of the walls just in town, and everyone was like, oh, you shouldn't do that because they'll get ripped down, but none of them were touched. They were there. We're not trying to do bad things, so if you want to help, don't be judging us for a group.
I think listening to us is very important because Gen Z, we've been raised with technology as a very important resource and a channel for learning things and gaining new skills throughout our entire lives. So I'd say something that we have a pretty good amount of experience with, and listening to us and understanding that we may have not more experience with something, but just we have more knowledge on certain areas than previous generations might, simply because we've lived our entire lives observing it, interacting with it, and using it. So I think that understanding that all generations have their own strengths and everything that they can do, we can also do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think adding on to that is that Gen Z is used to doing things a bit unconventionally. I mean, for many of us, we were on online school for a few years. We're used to doing things online or through social media. Supporting that and be open and listening. I would say that would be the biggest thing, because we are used to doing things unconventionally, which can create new opportunities.
Yeah, I think I'd say, moving away from the commentary that it's a war between generations. You get that a lot in the media, in different forums, for example, and understanding that intergenerational collaboration is just beautiful. It's incredibly productive when you bring people from different perspectives, different walks of life together. Nothing but good happens because there's so much diversity, opinions, ideas. But if we, exclude each generation to be like, oh, you do your own thing, we'll do our own thing, nothing good comes out of that. It's always just echo chambers that form. So I think having more conversations, more open dialogue, and just working together, I think that's absolutely beautiful, and we need more of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think thematically that's super important, coming from the generation where everyone hates us, because millennials are the worst, apparently.
You like Harry Potter too.
Yeah. But no, I think that's really powerful stuff. Well, I just want to thank you guys. I love seeing people get up here. I think it's very hard to get up here, and so thank you for being brave enough to stand up here and give your opinions, and it's just fantastic. So thank you very much. Can we give everyone a round of applause?